lovely, and welcome to today's reading. This is a reading that I've done a few times before, but we're going to shake it up a bit today. So if you've been following me for a while, you've probably seen the 3 other readings that I've done where I've connected with Jesus in order to bring you messages directly from him. You're more than welcome to check those out after this video if you haven't already. Today's video, we will be connecting with Jesus once again, but this time for him to provide you some advice on dealing with an enemy or a negative force in your life. Now, this could be a person outside of you, someone else that you are not getting along with or having issues with, or it could be something more internal, mental health issues, addiction issues, just negative cycles or habits that you can't seem to break, or it could just be like an energy that you feel around you that's just kind of weighing you down. It feels like it's out to get you. There's so many different forms that enemies can come in when they enter our life, and Jesus is going to provide you some guidance, advice, and insight on how to best move forward in this particular situation. So I'll flash an image of the piles in just a bit. That way you can connect with the piles and determine which one Jesus is pulling you towards. But I do want to thank you all for being here. Thank you so much to all of my subscribers. I love to give you guys a shout out each and every time that I do a video because I'm so thankful that I get to do this work, and I appreciate you all so much. So thank you for leaving this video a thumbs up, leaving a comment before you head out, subscribing if you aren't. All of these things are just small ways that you really help boost our channel and keep it growing and bring in new people to our community. So I just want to thank you so much for your service here in this video as well. I love you guys, and I will flash an image and connect with you at your pile. So I'll see you in just a bit. Hi, Pile 1, and welcome to your reading. You all chose this lovely saint. So the card toppers are images of saints, and this is to help show you what saint is with you during this period of your life and how they are here to help you. I also have a couple of cards that will depict which archangel or guardian angel is guiding you through this transition as well, and then we'll get into the tarots and the Bible verses, all of that to sum up the reading. So let's start with the saint you all chose, which is Saint Raphael. The card number is 72. So 72, 27, those could be significant numbers in your life at this time. They also go down into a 9 when you add the 7 plus 2, which that's all numerology, which I'm fascinated with. So 9 could be another significant number for you. But let's read the message on this card. So Saint Raphael, and this is actually the archangel, so interesting. So you guys actually have an archangel serving you as a saint through this period. It says, Archangel Raphael healed the blindness of old man Tobiah and is the patron saint of doctors and pharmacists. And when you pull this card, it indicates job transfers or changing homes, as well as timely encounters. So there could be some friction going on in your life right now due to just an overwhelming amount of outside circumstances, but it seems that it may be pushing you towards growth in a particular area of your life, and that's what Jesus wants to talk with you about. So let's look at your guardian angel and their energy. All right, so we have the guardian angel of the Hermit. This is Virgo energy, as well as the angel of freedom. And this says, I am always free to choose love, independence, and creativity. So both of those cards combined give us the energy of your guardian angel. Now, the Hermit card, it's all about a period of soul searching and solitude. It's about a time of aloneness, quietness, where we can go within and really find the light within ourselves, question what we're walking towards, what we're heading towards, what the meaning of all of this is. But it's in a very grounded way because Virgo is earth energy. And so this card combined with that angel of freedom card, it seems that this encounter with an enemy in your life or outside of you has to do with you recognizing your own sense of independence. There's I don't remember where I heard this. It was in a podcast or something. Comment below if you're familiar with kind of this phrase. But I remember reading or hearing somewhere about how we need to learn to stop using the words have to. Like, I have to go to work, or I have to clean up, or I have to whatever. Because this person talking about it was saying that we actually don't have to do anything ever. And as human beings, we are all born here with free will. It's something God gave us, that autonomy and independence, our freedom to be able to choose what we are doing. So we are never in a situation where we have to. It's always, I'm choosing to do this. Now, there could be reasons why that maybe you're upset with, like, well, I'm choosing to clean the house because it's a mess and I don't feel happy in a messy home. Or I'm choosing to go to work today because I would prefer that over getting fired and losing my income. But there's never a have to. And so it seems that something here in the universe is trying to wake you up to this idea, to get you to go within and realize that your life is not a have to situation. And these circumstances are not have to circumstances. Every day you are making choices. And Jesus doesn't want you to allow yourself to feel backed in a corner. Jesus wants you to remember that you have the choice in how you handle these situations. And yes, they're negative and frustrating, but you don't have to react to them in any particular way. It is your choice. You don't have to interact with, if it's a negative person, you don't have to interact with them. You could choose to. Maybe there's a reason why you might choose to continue that negative interaction versus cut yourself off, but it's a choice. And I feel like there are big, big changes that Jesus is trying to push you towards through these sort of negative interactions. Okay, so there's like a big upgrade going on in your life. I'll be honest, I expected to come into these readings and these piles with kind of a heavier, weighed down feeling because these are enemies that you all are dealing with. And maybe I will encounter that in some of these other piles. But the energy I'm getting from your guardian angels, from Jesus, from the universe, is that this is all going to be very positive for you when you look back on it years down the road. This is like I don't know, it's kind of like, whenever we work out, okay, and we want to grow our muscles bigger. Initially, when we start our workout regimen, we're going to experience a lot of pain and soreness, and it's not going to feel comfortable. Maybe we need the ice packs on us. We've got to, lay down for a bit, take a hot bath. But as time progresses and you continue this regimen, your muscles start to get bigger, your body starts to get healthier. So overall, the pain from that weightlifting it's got a positive energy behind it. I hope that makes sense because that feels like what's going on here. You're going to be waking up to and realizing a lot of things about yourself, your own power, your own strength, your own freedom. The fact that you rule and dictate your own life and you don't have to put up with anything you don't want to. You make choices, okay? I did not expect to get that much of a message in just the first 3 cards, but it's just coming through very, very strongly. And for some of you, I feel that there is a deceased loved one that is coming through as well, perhaps an ancestor, but I feel like it's someone that you know that's also wanting to send you a lot of strength and well-being during this time. And it feels like a female, but it doesn't have to be, because again, several of you are going to choose the same pile, but it feels like a female energy that's coming through, and she's got just a big smile on her face, and she wants to remind you of your power and your strength, and she takes a lot of pride in you and watching your life unfold. Okay, all right, let's get into the tarot cards and then we'll look at the rest of the oracles here. Okay, we have the King of Wands, that's fire energy, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. We have the Four of Cups, water energy there, that's Cancer energy specifically. And then the Ten of Swords, which is air energy, and that's Gemini specifically. Okay, so you can even see the face on this King of Wands. It looks like every time I look at this card, in this particular deck, this person just looks so riled up. It looks like there's, I don't know, a massive forest fire that he is like, how the hell am I going to contain this? And just kind of going nuts, trying to save everything, preserve everything. Like there's something big that he's fighting up against. He has a lot of the energy to do it, but it does feel a little bit hectic. And I even see him kind of like questioning his own sanity. Like, what the hell is going on? I feel like I'm going insane. And so that may just be how you're feeling in the midst of all of this. There is, though, I want to point out on this card, there is a little an angel here, an angel of passion that is with you in the midst of this kind of crazy period in your life. Four of Cups is about kind of feeling like the things that universe and life bring you aren't really things you're interested in. You know, the angel's kind of bringing this cup to the woman who's sitting under the tree, and she's just like, oh, this, I don't want that cup. I don't want this. You know, feeling like, God, why does my life always put me in circumstances that I don't really want to be in? But one of the messages on this card is that sometimes the universe kind of keeps shoving things in your face that you don't really want because it's trying to prompt you to get up and move, okay? You know, for some reason, this woman isn't supposed to be sitting underneath this tree. Maybe there's another tree that's got her soulmate at it, or her dream job, or a treasure chest of money. But, you know, the universe is like, okay, how are we going to get her to move away from this tree to get up and move towards the life that she wants? Well, I guess we'll just keep bringing her crappy circumstances, crappy people, situations she doesn't really want to be in. Hopefully that will get her to kind of wake up and say, I don't actually need to be here at this tree receiving these things that I don't want. I'm going to get up and move. Go find my own cup or whatever it is I'm after. And that definitely feels like the situation that you are in right now with all of these enemies coming at you at once. I feel that for most of you that chose this pile, maybe there was one particular enemy that you had in mind, but I really feel that overall your life feels kind of filled with enemies of all shapes, forms, and sizes. And it's just kind of building up, the tension's building up. And then we have the Ten of Swords, which is about an ending. You know, it's a 10, and it's an ending that's typically shocking. In some ways, this person may have felt stabbed in the back by others, you know, like they can't really trust the people they're around, the life that they're around. But this death brings with it a new beginning. You know, you can see that the sun is rising and there's a new life that's about a transition, a new life that's about to begin. So it feels like this period of your life with this enemy or these enemies is going to be finally bringing an end to something, a cycle that's been quite difficult to bear, quite painful. And yeah, Jesus just wants you to, he wants you to wake up to your own autonomy, your independence. He wants to see you really take a hold of your life instead of always, because you guys feel like you're very, very good at dealing with what life throws at you, okay? You know how to kind of adapt to the situations that are thrown in your face over and over again. You will get up and adapt and get up and adapt. But it's almost like you've never thought of, hey, why don't, you know, it seems like there's always kind of storms and tornadoes and bad weather going on in this area that I live in. And yeah, I'm great at adapting to them and handling them and surviving, but why don't I move? Why don't I move to a place with better weather? It's almost like you've never even thought to do that. You feel like your job is to kind of sit here and just take it, take it, take it. And Jesus wants you to recognize that you don't have to take it. You can leave. You can get up and go. Stop feeling so obligated to take all this crap that people or your job or, you know, your relationships, whatever, throw at you. So, yeah, but the energy that I'm getting from your guides and your spiritual team, like they all feel very excited and happy because they can see where this is potentially supposed to lead you. And it's supposed to lead you towards this really happy, fulfilled, peaceful place. So they want to, Jesus wants to acknowledge that you're kind of in a crazy storm right now, but, and he wants to acknowledge how hard that's been and how frustrating that's been, but he also wants you to trust in yourself a bit more and in the universe to lead you towards something greater, to help you lead yourself towards something greater. That's really what the message is here. It's about you taking the power in your own hands that Jesus and God and your angels, guides have handed to you and getting up and moving and going for it. But there's some soul searching within that needs to be done here for you to kind of recognize there's going to be a big shift in how you view life. You know, where up to this point you view life as a have to. You view your life as an obligation, as a have to. I have to put up with this. I have to deal with this. And you're going to be changing your mindset to, well, I'm choosing to deal with this. And you know what? I'm going to choose not to deal with that and I'm going to choose to go here. And it's like the freedom of choice, the freedom of options. It's going to kind of leave you mind blown in a way. Okay, let's look at the surrender card. We have surrender to effortlessness. It says, stop pushing so hard. The art of living means going with the flow instead of trying to force the river. Beautiful. And it just sums up, everything Jesus has been saying so far. It's almost like, oh, I'm trying to think of an example. It'd be like, let's say, a polar bear, for example. A polar bear is made to live in the Arctic. The Arctic is where the polar bear is going to be most at peace and most thriving. Wouldn't it be silly for a polar bear to try and force themselves to live on a tropical island and to think that they need to kind of put up with that and deal, and that there's something wrong with them if they're not able to deal with the tropical climate, not client, the tropical climate? Any one of us would look at the polar bear and say, well, you're not meant to live in a tropical area, and stop beating yourself up about that. Stop trying to survive through this. Go move to the Arctic. That's the situation you're in. You're in a climate and a life that you weren't actually built for. And that's why it's exhausting, and it's why you are so frustrated with these enemies or this enemy that's around you. So it's time to move. For some of you, this could be an actual physical move, moving out of state, moving out of town. I feel for a lot of moving to a new job, changing your degree. It's something big like that. Okay, let's look at the Bible verses. Okay, this first one says, "Be still and know." On the back, it's Matthew 11:28 through 30, and it says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." And that is a specific quote from Jesus himself. Those are words he spoke. And that's him once again wanting you to craft a life for yourself that doesn't feel burdensome, that feels like it fits right. That's the energy Jesus wants you to be in. It's the energy he meant for you to be in. But sometimes that requires you walking away, or I don't know, doing the vision board, creating a vision for what you want for your life, and then taking little steps towards it. Jesus is leading you ultimately to a state of mind that feels so much more peaceful and easy. And he wants you to be kinder on yourself too, because I feel like with a lot of these enemies and situations, you're harsh and judgmental on yourself. Like, why can't I be better at doing this? Why can't this just not bug me? This doesn't bug other people. Why can't I be that person where it just doesn't bother me? And Jesus wants you to be kinder to yourself. Talk to yourself in the way that Jesus would talk with you. Give yourself that same kindness. Okay, let's look at the second verse. Okay, this is Joshua 1:9. This is from the Old Testament. It says, "This is my command. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or discouraged, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go." And again, it's talking about going, having the courage to walk away, to craft a new life, to maybe try and fail a few times, having that courage to know that where you are, God is going to be with you, watching over you. Because I feel like a lot of the reason why you stay in this negative circumstance or situation is because on some level you fear your own failure and venturing out towards something else and leaving this behind. And God's wanting to remind you here that no, he wants you to be courageous, to take that risk, to do something new for yourself, to break out of that rut that you were in, because it's becoming overwhelming for you at this point. And it's all because, like I said, Jesus and your guides are trying to prompt you. They're trying to make you uncomfortable enough that you finally decide, okay, I'm getting away from this tree. I'm going somewhere else. All right. That's what this is all for. And yeah, perhaps they are utilizing some negative people and some negative life events to help prompt that. But this is all, like I said, the energy of this negative circumstance, it is 100% all coming from your own spiritual team, from Jesus, from God. This is not coming from an evil force or a dark entity at all, okay? And like I said, maybe in the other piles, that's what I'm going to see, but I'm not seeing it here, okay? So I just want you to calm yourself and believe in yourself just as Jesus does, and to start crafting this new legacy, this new life. Okay, the last card we have is from the Miracles Now deck, and it says, "I can release ancient pain simply by feeling it." I can release ancient pain simply by feeling it. So that to me is saying that a lot of this buildup has to do with you not welcoming your emotions as they come and go, okay? It seems like your life at this point almost feels so painful or overwhelming that it seems easier for you to kind of see that emotion as it's coming at you and then just kind of shove it under the rug, keep moving forward. Oh, here's another emotion. I'm going to shove that under the rug, keep moving forward. Like, I don't have the time to deal with it. Okay, but it's build up. And it is time for you to be able to really sink into your emotions and your feelings, feel them, get it all out. It's going to take a huge weight off of your shoulders. Stop pushing the emotions away. The emotions are what guide us to, ooh, this feels good. Ooh, that doesn't feel good. Those emotions guide us towards crafting a life that feels fulfilling and feels right with us, you know? And so you need to get in touch with your emotions as you are making these new decisions, breaking away, moving forward, so that you make sure you don't end up in the same circumstance again, surrounded by a life and by people that aren't fulfilling, that don't feel good. Okay, so welcome your emotions, welcome those feelings. All right, but big changes coming for you guys. This is not this enemy that's with you or around you. It's to prompt you towards your greatness, but you've got to harness that independence, that freedom of choice. Okay, your life is not a have to. Make it what you want it to be. Walk away, move into something new. Okay, be courageous. You guys can do it. And hopefully, this message from Jesus is just the right amount of motivation you needed to finally be like, okay, all right, I'm going to do it. You deserve it. Okay. I love you guys so, so much. Let me know below kind of what's going on in your life, what this enemy is that was brought up, and what sort of changes you're looking forward to making. I would love to talk with you about that down below. And thank you so much for coming. And I will see you at the next reading. Love you. Hi, Pile 2, and welcome to your reading. I can't wait to see what message Jesus has for you in regards to this enemy in your life, this negative cycle, and how to help move forward and deal with it. Now, let's start with the card topper you all chose. Now, this is the image of a saint, and so specifically, this is the saint that is helping you move through this situation and is working with you. I also have two cards that will touch upon your guardian angel's energy, what they are helping you with, and then we'll get into the full message of Jesus. But so this is Saint Petrus, and it's card number 69, which sideways, that is the Cancer symbol. This is what the Cancer symbol looks like. So you all could be Cancers, or this could be about a situation with a Cancer or with home and family. 69 could be a significant number for you. In numerology, when we break that number down, 6 plus 9 equals 15, 5 plus 1 equals 6. So 15 and 6 could also be significant numbers here. And the number 6 is ruled by Venus. So Venus is about our values, our relationships. So these could all be things that Jesus wants to touch upon in regards to this enemy. But let's read about this saint first. Okay, so Saint Petrus was a fisherman. He was called by Jesus and became an apostle. So we also know him as Saint Peter or Apostle Peter, the disciple. When you pull this card, it indicates situations with family as well as philanthropic associations. So philanthropy, volunteer work. It's even making me think of adoption or foster children for some reason. So something that feels like there's a blockage here, this enemy in your life, has to do with some sort of blockage, some sort of rejection, something you're trying to reach, but you keep feeling sideswept by it. Yeah, some sort of blockage. But I'll expand on that as we get into the cards. Let's take a look at your guardian angel and their energy. So you all have the guardian angel of the high priestess. Beautiful. That's moon energy, again, so Cancer or water energy, Scorpio and Pisces as well. And we also have with your guardian angel, the guardian angel of youth. So, okay, pregnancy, foster care, adoption, these are all very strongly coming up. For some of you that doesn't resonate, this could have to do with the inner child or just your home and family life in general, perhaps your past, your childhood. The guardian angel of youth says, as I share my enthusiasm, humor, and sense of fun, I protect and honor my youthful spirit. Beautiful. And the high priestess, it's all about having access to that veil between the physical realm and the spiritual, really being able to understand that there truly is a spiritual purpose behind everything we experience and go through in this life. The joys we experience and the hardships, they're all building character, and there's always things that we can't see. We may think, well, this doesn't make sense. I just need this to be happy, or I just need this to happen. Why am I being blocked? It doesn't make any sense. Whereas if you were on the spiritual side of things behind that veil, you could clearly see, like, oh, my human self isn't able to see that I'm supposed to be walking towards in 5 to 10 years, or how this blockage is leading me towards this. Okay, so there's something like that Jesus wants to remind you of, that there's always going to be things that you don't quite understand because you don't have full access to the knowledge and information that God and Jesus and your guardian angels do. But there's definitely something here that's trying to connect you to your own inner child through this difficult period that you are in with this enemy or with this blockage. Jesus wants to remind you that as you remain in a more youthful energy, as you heal that inner child, as you tap into your joy, you're going to have a much easier time tapping into the spiritual knowledge around you, tapping into your guardian angels, your spirit guides, to Jesus through prayer. Something about your heart chakra, okay, needs to be accessed to help get you through this period. Because I do feel with certainty that what you are trying to get towards, the emotional state you're trying to get towards, okay, I don't want to talk about the tangible physical things so much because that could be different for each one of you. But the emotional state that you are longing and craving to be in, you are going to arrive there, okay? It is a matter of time. And there is a very special plan unfolding for you throughout all of this. And Jesus wants you to remember, okay, your purpose, your plan. Remember to trust in, allowing your life to unfold, and in knowing that Jesus and God are going to, through their guidance, you're going to get to that happy place that you're longing to be in, okay? So let's take a look at the tarot, and then we'll get into the Bible verses I have here and a couple of other oracle cards I have for you. Okay, we have the Knight of Pentacles. That's Earth energy, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, as well as the Judgment card. Wow, a major arcana here. Beautiful. And the Star. This is Aquarius energy. We have two major arcanas here. So Knight of Pentacles, this is someone who's really carefully planting seeds for their future. He's the slowest moving knight in the deck. Knights are all about taking action towards something, and he moves with the most caution. He's very cautious and deliberate about what he's doing, and he understands that things take time. There's seasons and cycles, and sometimes when we really, the things that we really want are often the things that take the most planning, the most time, and the most patience to get. But once we get them, ooh, it's so worth it. It's so much better than those things that are so easy and quick to get but aren't nearly as satisfying or long lasting. And that's what I see, that you are working towards something like this, and you do naturally have a lot of patience, and Jesus wants to acknowledge that. You do naturally have that. It feels like you're almost like at the end, though your patience is running out at this point, and it feels unfair to you. But I do see here that there is a judgment day coming for you in your life that is going to connect you towards your overall purpose. And there is something in your life that's meant to bring you towards some sort of philanthropic work for others or for the world. I think that's why I kept seeing like adoption, foster care, but it doesn't have to just be in that realm. But you aren't quite connected to that purpose yet. You can't quite see that star yet. You're on the right kind of path, okay? But there's something about your life and its purpose that you haven't realized yet. And I feel like that's why your guardian angel is here with you at this time as well. Your guardian angel's trying to give you access to something you haven't had access to before. And it feels like it has to do with your purpose. And so perhaps there are some negative circumstances, some trials that you're meant to go through to help tap into that purpose. Like, for example, I'm going to give an example just on the lines of adoption and foster care. Perhaps there is this, I'm not saying this to say that it applies to you. I'm just trying to give a symbolic sort of example of how this could be playing out. Let's say that there is a woman out there who wants to have children, and she's trying pregnancy after pregnancy, there's been miscarriage or just trouble conceiving, and all she wants is to have that baby of her own, or at least that's what she thinks. But what she doesn't realize is that before she incarnated into this lifetime, there was a child, born to someone else that was neglected or in poverty, or who knows, that ends up in the foster care system, let's say, and she was meant to adopt that child. That truly is her child. Whereas, but she can't see that yet, right? Right now, she's in the mode of I just want a child, and I keep losing my child, and I can't get pregnant. I can't carry my pregnancies to full term, and kind of losing hope and feeling, that life is unfair. But then it's like through that trouble conceiving, she ends up finally looking into adoption, okay? And then now that she's looking into adoption, she comes into contact with her child, that child who was neglected or in poverty, and now they're united. And now she understands that her purpose, this was all leading her to her purpose. If she would have been able to conceive easily and quickly, she probably would have never looked into adoption and never would have found that child that truly was hers at a soul level. So there's something like that going on. There's a purpose for yourself that you haven't tapped into or you haven't seen. I don't want you to try to look for it either, because you're not going to be able to. At least that's what I'm hearing from Jesus. There are some struggles and circumstances that are going to tap you in. Okay, and it probably has to do with something you're going through now. You're going to donate yourself to the world in some way. For example, let's say you're in a toxic relationship with an abusive spouse. That relationship and finally experiencing that and breaking away leads you into this passion project of creating some sort of nonprofit for battered and abused women. It's something like that, where this struggle is going to lead you towards your purpose, okay? But there is going with this judgment card. This judgment card is all about you kind of making the choice to be born anew, be born into a new life. It's about choice. The death card that comes up in the tarot is kind of about being forced to go into a new life. Like, it's not really a question. It's like life's just going to force it upon you. Whereas the judgment card is here to say, look, nothing, we're not going to force you into anything. God, the universe, Jesus, we're not going to force this on you. This is truly going to be your choice. But we're just sitting back and waiting for you to kind of make that choice to seek us out in prayer, tap into your intuition, and cleanse yourself and your life and be born anew. For some of you, this could have to do with addiction issues, for example. It's like the universe isn't going to force you to get sober or get clean. That would defeat the purpose of getting you towards this star, your North Star. But they're sitting back and waiting and hoping that you will kind of make that choice, okay? Think about your future and what seeds are you planting your future towards. And yeah, I don't know. I don't have access to all the info because some of it is kind of behind that veil, okay? So I'm trying to talk about what I can see, but I'm also recognizing that there's a lot that I can't see because it's for you to discover, okay? But this enemy or this negative force that you're dealing with in your life is ultimately, this is going to be an experience that you look back on with this enemy and think, wow, if I wouldn't have experienced that, it would have never led me to this interest in helping others in this same circumstance, or it would have never led me into looking towards other ways that I can kind of fulfill myself in this area. You're going to have some sort of passion that's awakened because of this experience with this enemy. Okay. And the quicker that you start changing your mindset into that perspective, the faster things are going to move forward. And I feel like a lot of you need to really, prayer is going to be essential for you during this time. Pray every night if you can. If you don't have time during the day, just promise yourself that every night as you're falling asleep, just pray to yourself in your head if that's all you have time for. Prayer is going to be very essential to you during this period. And I feel that you have a very big team around you as well. There's a lot of angels, extra angels that have been pulled in for you all during this transition and this period in your life. Your spiritual team feels quite large. So there's a lot that you can communicate with. There's a lot of answers and guidance you can receive from them directly through your own prayer and spiritual practice. Okay, so that's also highly recommended during this time. Let's get into some of the other cards. Okay, from the Surrender deck, we have Surrender Low Self-Esteem. It says, you deserve success, love, and abundance. Set an intention to identify and release any remnants of low self-esteem. Yeah, it feels like part of what you're going through has to do with this idea that you don't deserve more, okay? But there's also another thing here that could be connected or for two different groups of people where you feel like what you're dealing with is your own fault, okay? Um, so yeah, there's this low confidence or low self-esteem, like this is my fault, or I don't deserve more, something like that that needs to be let go. And the sunflower card just makes me think of this angel of youth and that inner child I was talking about earlier in the reading. This leads back to your own roots, your own childhood. There are definitely some issues with your self-esteem and your value that have made it very hard for you to manifest what you desire and to dictate your own reality. At the same time, though, this low self-esteem, it's given you a great empathy for others, and that deep sense of empathy and compassion for others is going to be extremely important in leading you towards your purpose. So while it was here for a reason, Jesus is wanting you to begin healing this. You are a super empathetic and loving person that can feel other people's pain, and that's fantastic and so needed in today's world. But it's time for you to start building yourself back up again, to recognize your value and your worth, and to also be able to look at your childhood and what you went through in a new sort of lens, and recognizing, oh, okay, I feel this way about myself because of that happened when I was 7 or 8, or because of my relationship with this parent or this sibling. And being able to kind of debunk a lot of your thoughts about yourself and craft them in a new and different way. Kind of like that judgment card, being born brand new, for giving yourself forgiveness, releasing yourself from all the, mistakes you made in your past, like really letting that go and brightening yourself up again, tapping into your confidence, your inner child, your joy, your play. Okay. All right, let's look at the Bible verses for you. The front of this one says, "Oh, my soul," and this is James 1:6. And this is God, or not God, Jesus talking here. It says, "But let him ask in faith with no doubting, for the one who doubts is like a wave of the sea that is driven and tossed by the wind." Even here in this judgment card, this woman, she's praying, okay? This is about praying without doubt, believing that you deserve what you are asking for, believing that God loves you enough to bring it to you. But another big thing I'm hearing is that Jesus wants you to pray not for the specific things you are asking, but for the state of mind and the feeling that you want to be in. For example, let's say you've been praying, I'm going to lead it back to the child. Let's say you've been praying to get pregnant, praying for a biological child, or praying for a pregnancy that comes to full term. What I'm hearing from Jesus is, instead of praying for that, pray to experience motherhood, because there's so many forms that could come in. Or let's say you want to have a child because you want to help teach, you want to work with children, you want to tap into the energy of the inner child, you want to provide unconditional love to a human being outside of you, you want to be able to exemplify that feeling of comfort. It's getting vaguer and vaguer as I keep going, but that's kind of how Jesus wants you to pray. Pray to God or to Jesus to bring you to a place of comfort, to help you craft a home and a family for yourself, whatever that is, to help you experience unconditional love on any level that it can be. So it's more about praying not for the specific things, but for the feeling and the emotional state that you want to be in. What is it specifically that you're craving to feel, and pray for that instead. And keep in mind that when you are having doubts with your prayers, it's because on some level there is a low sense of self-esteem that's making you feel like you don't deserve it, okay? And God wants you to release that and let go of that. And also to recognize that this low self-esteem, this belief that, oh, I don't deserve a life that's happy or fulfilling, and of course this is on a subconscious level, has also led you into negative relationships and negative circumstances, because subconsciously you believe that's what you deserve. You don't believe that you deserve a gift from the universe, a spectacular life. Why not, is what Jesus is saying. Why not? He loves you in every way, every part of you he loves about you, and he wants you to love yourself enough too, and to recognize that you do deserve a fantastic life filled with purpose, filled with joy. And he really wants you to stop questioning that. Like, I almost see this kind of finger waving going on. So, okay, let's look at the second Bible verse. Oh, it's a Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. This goes so well with the last Bible verse. Let me show you the image. Love the artistry on these cards. It says, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Do not depend on your own understanding. Seek his will in all you do, and he will show you which path to take. So that goes perfectly with being less specific about what you're praying for, because there's a million different ways that God and Jesus can bring you into the state of happiness that you're craving to be in. Start praying more for kind of what state you want to be in, how you want to feel in your life. And then also to remember, just like your guardian angel is reminding you with the high priestess, don't depend on your own understanding. Remember that there's always a spiritual veil. There's things that you don't have access to. So don't depend on your own understanding of things. Trust in the Lord with all of your heart. Just so beautiful. I love those two verses came out because they sum up the reading perfectly. Okay, the last card we have is from the Miracles Now deck. And let me show you the back of it. It's got this galaxy. It says, I surrender my desires and I know the universe has my back. I surrender my desires and I know the universe has my back. Perfect. Once again, it aligns so well with the other two Bible verses. Stop focusing on the specific thing, the tangible physical thing that you're praying for, and start praying for peace, happiness, joy, whatever it is, those emotional, psychological things, and connect with God in that way, and develop that trust, and that trust that you deserve to be happy too. So many different elements went into this reading, but whatever this blockage is that you are dealing with, this enemy that you are dealing with, I hope that that helped kind of sum up how you can navigate to a better and happier place, because there's a strong spiritual energy around you at this time, and this blockage you are dealing with is to help lead you towards your spiritual purpose. There's an option or another route that you can't see because you don't have access, full access to whatever's behind that veil. And this is all going to make sense, okay? 5, 10, maybe just a year or two down the line, this will all make sense, okay? So it's time to just give yourself a little more love, tap into your own inner child, increase that confidence and that self-esteem, and take action towards prayer. Prayer on a daily basis, not for specific tangible things, but just for that connection with God, developing a trust and a union with God and your spiritual team, okay? I love you guys so much, and this is a powerful, powerful message, a deep spiritual purpose to this message, and I just want to thank you for allowing me to provide this to you, and for coming and showing up to this reading. So I'm thinking of you. You guys will get through this. You are powerful, powerful, very spiritually tapped in human beings, and very much deserving of love. Allow yourself to love yourself, okay? And trust in God. He's got your back. Okay, I love you guys so much, and I will see you at the next reading. Bye. Hi, pile 3. Welcome to your reading. I do want to let you know that there could be one other pile you were drawn to, just because the saints really align. The card topper you all chose, it aligns very much with another pile. So if that was the case for you, let this be confirmation that you can go back and listen to that other pile, because I do feel like they're going to connect on some level. But we'll see as we go through. So this is the saint you all chose, and this represents a saint that is actually working with you during this time through whatever you're going through in regards to this enemy, this negative force, this negative cycle, and how they are here to help you. I also have two cards to talk about a specific guardian angel that is in your life at this time, what they are trying to show you and teach you, and protect you from, during this dealing with this enemy. And then we'll get into the tarots and the oracles, and I have a couple of Bible verses as well. But so this is the saint you all chose. The card number is 33. So 3 could be a significant number in your life or during this time period. Now 3 plus 3 adds up to 6. So 6 could be another significant number for you. And 6 is actually, the number 6 is ruled by Venus, and Venus is about our values and our relationships. So that could be at play in regards to this reading. But this is Saint Elizabeth. Let's read about her. So Saint Elizabeth is the protector of bakers. She helped the poor her entire life. And when you pull this card, it signifies motherhood, family of origin, and volunteerism. Okay, so these are all things that could be at play. Perhaps you're dealing with a child, or postpartum depression, or depression issues that are connected more to your past, your relationship with your own mom, your childhood. We'll see as we get into the rest of the reading. But let's look at the guardian angel that's working with you at this time and their energy. Okay, we have the guardian angel of the chariot, that's Cancer energy, and the angel prince of the east. This card says, I purify my mind by affirming my worth and honoring my choices for love. So both of these cards together are talking about your guardian angel and what they're trying to help you navigate. And actually, the chariot card is all about navigation with balance. Okay, you'll notice that the angel of the chariot, he has a black horse and he has a white horse. This represents kind of the yin and the yang, accepting our light side and accepting our shadow side. And only when we do that are we able to move forward in a straight line. Both of these need to be in harmony and in balance. Okay, so it feels like there's some things from your past that you're just now recognizing or looking at in a different way. And at first, when you do that initially, it could be quite painful. Kind of like that moment in our lives where we're no longer glorifying or idolizing our parents. Like, I think up until a certain age, we kind of have this full trust in our mom or our dad, and kind of, I don't know, assume we do it accidentally, but we almost look at them as kind of like perfect. And then usually once we get into adulthood, or maybe it's by the time we hit our teenage years, we start viewing our parents for what they are, which are human beings with flaws just like the rest of us, that are, imperfect human beings. And at first that can be quite shocking and make us feel unsteady, maybe hurt in some ways. It feels like that's the stage you're at with this enemy in your life. It's about realizing that the humans around you are just humans, and they are flawed and they are imperfect and they do make mistakes. And kind of, I don't know, it feels shocking. My head feels kind of like it's jolted a bit. Like, what? There's something that you're looking at in a way you never have before, and it doesn't feel good. You're facing a lot of truths that you were blinded by for a long, long time. It could even be truths within yourself. Maybe they're things from your past that at the moment you did them, you felt very strongly that you were doing the right thing. And now, as an adult or later on looking back, you're like thinking, wow, how did I get that so wrong? I was so wrong. Why did I do that? Okay, so it's something like that. But with the angel prince of the east, and the east, that correlates with the seventh house of our one-on-one relationships and our marriage life, romantic life. It says, I purify my mind by affirming my worth and honoring my choices for love. It feels like on some level you have lost trust in your own ability to choose correctly. Or, yeah, it's almost like you feel like, well, no matter what I choose, everything's always going to end up screwed up because life is just so full of imperfections. Like, what's the use? There's this deep fear going on here with your choices in your relationships, in your love life, or even just your friendships. Okay, you've been shocked by something, but you're in a state of shock. Okay, that's also what Jesus wants to say. The state of mind that you are in right now, that's not how you're going to be forever. Okay, you're in an initial stage of shock, um, but it's going to bring you towards a place of healing in the end, and you're not going to feel this way. Because I feel like those of you who chose this pile, you may have been complaining lately about a headache or migraine or vision issues or sleep issues. And to you, it seems unrelated to this emotional stuff you're dealing with, but Jesus wants you to know that the two are related. Or it could just be you not feeling quite like yourself. You just feel like, I don't feel like me. It has to do with this shock that you're in regards to something else in your personal life. It's not going to feel that way forever. Jesus just really strongly wants to assure you of that. Especially for those of you going through like postpartum depression, for example, you're not going to feel like this forever. And I also want to say to those of you who feel like you're in, I think it would be beneficial for those of you who chose this pile to be in some form of therapy, or to seek out, a doctor that maybe could prescribe a certain type of medication, or a counseling session, or a retreat that can really help you move through this shocking energy. Because I literally am feeling like this shock and this vibration. Okay. But yeah, it's not going to be this way forever. Okay, let's look at the tarot cards and then we'll get into the oracles. Okay, we have the Emperor. That's Aries energy. We have the Page of Pentacles. This is Earth energy, so Capricorn, Virgo, Taurus. And then we have the Two of Pentacles, more Earth energy. And you'll notice this woman is kind of like juggling two things. She kind of feels stretched thin and worried that she's going to drop one or the other. She doesn't want to let go of one or the other. It's like she doesn't want to have to choose. She's kind of like juggling these two things. So I do feel that there is a childhood, children, something like this involved in your particular situation. And then there's this strong, fiery energy opposing you. It could be a spouse that's quite, because the Emperor is very much like his way or the highway type of energy. He could be very controlling on the negative end, but he's just not the type of person that really budges on things. Like you kind of have to adapt to the Emperor. He's not going to adapt to you. So it feels like the enemy circumstance you are dealing with has something to do with either a father figure or a parental figure who was the more dominant one, or a spouse, and as well as your child or your childhood or your children, something like that. And you're juggling both things at once, and you're starting to feel a bit frantic. So you're either juggling two different ideas, two different perspectives, two different people, two different options. And it's interesting because it feels like the second option or idea or whatever or person was only added to your life recently. And I think that's what this shock I keep touching on has to do with. For a while I feel like you just had the one pentacle and it was very easy to just hold it. Now that this new one has kind of rushed in, it's like now you're trying to figure out how to keep hold of both. I don't know if you should be doing that, but I don't think I'll know until we get into some of the other cards. I feel like something needs to be kind of let go in order to gain control of your own self and your own domain once again. Like something old needs to be let go or restructured, moved around so that you can adapt to the newness of this situation and move forward. Okay? Or figure out how to balance them. Because the juggling, you're not gonna be able to sustain that. That's gonna exhaust you. Let's look at the surrender card. Okay, we have surrender denial. It says, accept people and situations exactly as they are, without denying the difficulties. Then you can see things clearly and make the best decisions. Yeah, and I'm almost seeing this line, and here's where you are now, but this line connects back to something in your childhood, as most things in our life do, to be honest. There's something you're not accepting. You have the tendency to, like I was touching on earlier, to idolize certain people and kind of put them on a pedestal, or just always believe in the absolute best or in their perfection. And that does put us in a state of denial, because in reality, no one is perfect. Everyone has mistakes, and we have to be able to accept the mistakes, accept the shadow, remember, and create that balance in order to progress forward in life. Something's got you stuck, and it has to do with you not being willing, perhaps it's too painful, but not being willing to kind of look at things in the face, look at either your own faults and limitations or someone else's or something else's, and instead kind of glossing over all of it, or thinking you're doing the right thing by believing in the best and believing in their ability to be perfect. It's put you in a state of denial. But remember, your guardian angel, the Chariot, it's all about the yin and the yang. Recognizing the shadow in everyone, including yourself, recognizing their faults, their limitations, their inability to be perfect. None of us are able to be perfect. And working with that instead of, instead of being in this sort of like ignorance is bliss phase with your life. Okay? This could have to do with an unexpected pregnancy, or an unexpected job offer, or just a relationship that friends and family are saying, like, why do you keep giving this another chance? They've shown you how they are, like, something like that. I feel like you put the fault on yourself, and you came here to figure out how to fix yourself, almost like you view yourself as the enemy. And Jesus is glad you were here because he wants you to know that's not the case. your denial has been a hindrance to you, but you are not your own enemy in this situation. There are actual, dark things around you. There are enemies outside of you um, that you are choosing not to see. Your denial, I guess, is the enemy in this situation. But yes, there are things and people outside of you that will harm you if you let them too close. And Jesus doesn't want that for you, okay? So there's something, you've got to take off the blindfold. I know it can be painful. You can feel like you're being let down. And I feel like you did this with a parent in the past. You idolize them, and maybe you still do. And until you go back and look at that differently, it's going to be very hard to practice this with new people and circumstances in your life. Okay? So let's look at the Bible verses. Okay, the first one on the front, it says, "You are wonderfully designed." And on the back, it has a psalm, Psalm 37:7. It says, "Be still before the Lord and wait patiently for him. Fret not yourself over the one who prospers in his way, over the man who carries out evil devices." Yeah, so that again kind of confirms for me that there are some dangerous things outside of you. You do have, in some of the other piles, it was kind of touching on how, oh, things feel really awful. It feels like an enemy, but it's to lead you towards your greatness. In your pile, this feels like, yeah, there are legitimate enemies, negative forces around you that you are in denial about seeing. You're in denial about looking at those things in the face. You've instead, you focused it all on yourself, like the negative energies and feelings that you're going through. You focused it on you. I'm the enemy. I'm the one I need to get away from, or my shadow self is my enemy, and that's what you came here for. But Jesus just really wants to urge you to kind of wake up and realize that no, there are some enemies around you. There's some enemies in your life, and it has to do with your denial and your perspective. That's what's going to be dangerous for you. And Jesus doesn't want to see you walk forward anymore with a blindfold on. He doesn't want to see you run into a tree, or, it's kind of like that's where you're saying that things are going to head if you don't take off the blindfold. And he also wants to say that he knows you are fearful. He knows it's painful for you to come to terms with the fact that some people are bad, some people are, and that no one's perfect, and that we can't idolize people. There's not any single person in this world that deserves to be put on a pedestal. And for some reason, that incites a lot of fear in you and a lot of pain. And Jesus does recognize that. But for your own protection and your own safety, you've got to take off the blindfold. You have to. He's really urging you on this, okay? Let's look at the next Bible verse and see what else he has to say. Here's the imagery. This is Matthew 6:34. It says, "Therefore do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own." Okay, so some of you, this juggling may have to do with present moment and future. Maybe you guys have a lot of anxiety about worst case scenarios in the future, and that could be doing you a lot of harm. This anxiety could be some sort of negative force that has kind of lingered around your family, anxiety issues that Jesus really wants you to kind of get rid of, not allow that energy, that negative energy, to feed off of you anymore. You're giving it more life, the more you allow it to kind of manipulate you into overthinking or being fearful. So that can be kind of the negative force that you're dealing with. It is outside of yourself, okay? And that's important. Jesus wants to keep emphasizing that. This isn't a part of you. This is something outside of you that's able to feed off of you. And it's time to cut it off, to no longer give it any oxygen or air supply. But yeah, the worries and the anxiety need to stop. And it shouldn't make you anxious to look at things realistically, to be realistic, to admit that you or these other people or things are imperfect. But for some reason, in your case, it does. And in both of these Bible verses, it's like Jesus and God are wanting to say, like, there's really nothing to worry about. God, as God, I'm well aware that, I didn't create perfect human beings. I didn't intend to. It doesn't freak me out that you guys are all imperfect. So it shouldn't freak you out. You should be able to gather all the data and information, look at it in the face, take off that blindfold, and use it to navigate yourself forward. You're not serving yourself by being blind to it. As sweet as you guys are, because there's definitely a sweetness and an innocence here. As sweet as you are, it's not serving you, okay? Let's look at the Miracles Now card. It's the last card. Here's the back. It says, when I've overshared, I simply say, wait, why am I talking? Okay, so for a lot of you, this negative force could have to do with people outside of you, maybe people you've idolized or look up to, that are giving you information that really doesn't apply to you or isn't trustworthy information and guidance that you really shouldn't be taking. So it's like you're offering yourself and your perspective and information, like opening up to people that really shouldn't be trusted. Okay, I think there needs to be a big reset here. This could even be like doctors, co-workers, bosses, family members. But because you have that blindfold on, it's almost like you very easily give trust to everyone without having all the information to really determine, is this someone I should open up to about this? Is this someone trustworthy with this or not? So God and Jesus are wanting you to be much more selective. You'll become that way naturally as you take off this blindfold, okay? You're going to become much smarter about life, like more street smart in regards to life, and you're going to be able to progress forward at a much faster rate and with much less bruises, because I mean, just think about it. Walking forward with a blindfold on at all times, we're pretty much guaranteed to run into a tree, to step on something that hurts us. I mean, we walk through life scratched and bruised. You're doing it to yourself. Once you take off that blindfold, then you can clearly see, oh, don't step on that. That could hurt. Oh, there's a tree. There's, whatever. And keep yourself protected, yourself and your energies protected. Protection's a big theme in this reading, to self-preserve and self-protect, okay? I hope all of this made sense and was helpful for you. If you'd like, you can leave me a comment down below, and I'd love to continue a conversation down there with you. But you'll be able to navigate forward in all of this. You've got a lot of help around you, okay? So just keep believing in yourself, and just know that things are going to work out as you take off that blindfold, all right? I love you all, and I will see you in the next reading. Bye. Hi, Pile 4, and welcome to your reading. Can't wait to see what Jesus has to say to you. The card topper you all chose is this saint here, which I will read to you. Now, this is a saint that is helping you navigate through this situation with this particular enemy. I also have two cards that will talk about a specific guardian angel that is with you at this time, and then we have a couple of Bible verses, oracle cards, and of course the tarot. But so this card is card number 32, so that could be a significant number in your life, 32, 23. 3 plus 2 also breaks down into a 5. And in numerology, 5 is all about kind of a great shift, a shakeup, a change. So these could all be themes that Jesus wants to touch upon with you in this reading. But let's read about this saint and who he is. So this is Saint Dominicus. He founded the order of preachers. And when you pull this card, it signifies progressive social ideas and justice. Interesting. So I did get in, we'll see kind of what the cards have to say, but as I was shuffling and taking jumper cards, there was a big energy here that a lot of you that chose this pile are meant to go into spiritual work, ministry in some form, but ministry and spiritual work that kind of shakes up the foundations that have been laid in our past. That 5 is all about change. So this is about, making big changes in spirituality, religion, justice systems, values, something like that, okay? I do feel that you all have a big spiritual purpose in spirituality or government, politics, social ideas, social reform, something like that. Let's look at your guardian angel and their energy. Wow, okay, so we have the guardian angel of the star card. This is Aquarius energy, as well as the angel of the essence of love. And Jesus, to me, really exemplifies more than anything else the essence of love and unconditional love. I feel like that's what he came down to earth to show to us. And boy, did Jesus reform a lot as well. Like, he was a huge shakeup to the people he came in contact with at that time. And even, I mean, obviously his legacy has lived on far longer than even he lived on this earth, but he was kind of scandalous. He was rebellious. A lot of what he was saying and doing, people had never heard of or thought of before. It angered and upset people. It brought people a lot of peace as well. Like, so you're meant to be that, in kind of like, makes me think of like MLK, Martin Luther King Jr., or even Martin Luther as well. Those were two people in our history that really shook up some of our systems and our ideals and our values and made a lot of people go, whoa, what are you saying? What? And that's kind of what you're meant to do. That Aquarius energy from your guardian angel feeds you a lot of Aquarius energy. You have a very broad way of thinking. I haven't even gotten into I do think in terms of an enemy that you could be dealing with, it may have to do with a lot of things that you say, the ways that you think, and there being a lot of people that don't like it, that fight back against that or say, no, you're wrong. Like, shut up, be quiet. People that try to quiet you or try to make you feel lesser than, or make you feel like what you say has no value. That's the enemy or the force. Like maybe a lot of online trolls, or people in your family that disagree with you, that maybe they're very traditional. But Jesus and your guardian angels and this saint are wanting to let you know to not question yourself, okay? That what you are saying is absolutely connected to truth, and that it is normal and expected for traditional conservative people who like their old-fashioned way of thinking to fight back against that. And they want you to also know that if you are receiving that fight back, that pushback from humanity, from the world, that's how you know you are in the right direction. That's exactly what you came here to do, okay? So don't doubt yourself. On the Essence of Love angel card, it says, let love be the center of my life. So in regards to this enemy, Jesus wants to remind you to fight hate with love, okay? Don't stoop to their level. Don't put yourself in those lower vibrational energies, because then you're going to get on a wonky, weird path that you aren't meant to be on. Let yourself be guided and do everything with the essence of unconditional love. And if you're doing that, you are in your purpose. Now, that unconditional love needs to be as much towards yourself as it is for others, okay? So don't put yourself either in situations that that are going to hurt you either. Just because you are showing love and responding with love doesn't mean that you seek out these negative situations, okay? But when the negative situations, when the enemies come towards you, fight back with that loving energy. Don't stoop to their level and whatever it is you are dealing with, okay? Rise above. Okay, let's look at the tarot. We have the Queen of Swords, more that Aquarius energy, but this is also Libra and Gemini energy as well. Beautiful. We have the Five of Pentacles and the Ace of Pentacles. Beautiful. This to me is the story of Jesus here, just playing out in these cards. So you are very, very much aligned with this spiritual, pastoral sort of energy. Very forward thinking. You're here to help make progress for humanity, our values, change some systems, okay? Now, the Queen of Swords, she is very intelligent, okay? She speaks from the truth, but she is also someone that you can't budge, okay? No matter how much hate she receives from others, she is not ever going to question herself. She's not ever going to question, maybe what they're saying is true. Maybe I am wrong. Maybe I am silly. Maybe I am stupid. Heck no, not the Queen of Swords. In fact, she will cut those people out. She'll distance herself. She'll say, why are you here? If you don't believe in what I'm saying, why are you here? You're welcome to leave. Thank you for your feedback, but you're welcome to go. And Jesus is really wanting you to stand firm in that energy. When you are speaking something, when you're speaking your truth, when you're sharing your truth, when you're sharing your knowledge, stand strong, stand firm in it, and don't sway yourself according to other people's feedback, okay? It's extremely important, because what you have to say actually resonates with a lot of Five of Pentacles type people. Again, we have another five. Five of Pentacles is about the outcasts of society, the people that no one wants anything to do with, the people that have been hurt and pummeled by society, by others, and just feel left out in the cold. That's exactly who Jesus came here to speak to. He didn't come here to speak to, the kings and queens and their, luxurious lives who were already adored by everyone. His message at first, in his life resonated with the people who felt like the outcasts, okay? And at first, yeah, during his life here, his message, the people it resonated with was less than the people it didn't resonate with. Hope that makes sense. But while he was here on this earth, he had a lot more haters than he did supporters, right? After his death, the small amount of supporters that he had, who then became able to spread that message, then it created this ripple effect. And now Christianity is this huge religion that we know of today, 1,000, 2,000 years later. And that's kind of how you have to view your own spiritual purpose as well. You're going to, because your message is so progressive, your ideas are so progressive, you're going to have a lot more haters than supporters for a long amount of time, maybe for your entire life. Maybe it's not till after you've died and passed away that the earth and society starts getting more on board with this message. And then, 60 years, we look back and we see you as one of the progressive people who was out there preaching this message when no one wanted to hear it. But that's exactly who you're meant to be, and fearless, okay? You're meant to be fearless and meant to be unshakable. And you're meant to spread love and progressive ideas for humanity. And that's where we have this Ace of Pentacles coming after this Five of Pentacles. You are, it's so funny because, I think you get this, but what you're doing in your life or in the world, to you, it doesn't seem so crazy. To you, it seems very practical, very grounded, like it makes sense. Because other people aren't ready to hear it, it seems like, oh, wacky, crazy, frou-frou type of stuff, but it's not. It is a pentacle, and the Ace of Pentacles is about stability, structure, new foundations, something that's meant to stand the test of time, to last for generation after generation. It takes a lot to destroy a coin, to destroy a pentacle, and that is what you are doing. Not everyone's going to see it that way at first, but the people who will gravitate towards this pentacle, this truth that you are working towards, are the people who have been without a pentacle for a long time, who aren't receiving pentacles from other people, who feel like they're impoverished. They've been waiting for this message. They've been waiting for you. And so they're the ones that are going to gravitate towards it. And it will expand from there. But the haters, the negative feedback, Jesus really wants you to push it away. Some of you may have been thinking about starting a channel or a blog, writing a book. This could have to do with opening up to, your family or your friends, saying, I don't actually believe this stuff anymore. Maybe your religious, your spiritual ideology is a huge shift from the rest of your family, and you're finally, you finally gotten the confidence to speak it. But now that you're getting so much hate, you're questioning it, or you don't know. Stand strong in your faith, in your message, in your ideals, okay? You are not crazy. You are on track. And the haters that you have, the more haters you have, the more confirmation that you are headed in the right direction. That is what Jesus is saying, okay? Expect the haters. He had to do it too. So he's even saying, come to him in those moments where you're feeling low, you're feeling weak, when you're questioning yourself, tap back into his energy. Remember his story, okay? It will help strengthen you and build you up. Okay, from the surrender deck, we have surrender to spirit. Beautiful. It says, once you've done everything you can to achieve a goal, turn the situation over to the divine. Let spirit work its magic for you. So what I'm hearing from Jesus in regards to this is, don't be so focused on the initial feedback that you get on something that you create or do. The initial feedback isn't going to look good, and God and Jesus aren't worried about that. Once you've put whatever you need out into the universe, let God handle the rest. You need to learn to be able to kind of detach from it, walk away, and move forward to the next thing, and not focus so much on the feedback, okay? Because like I said, this is a divisive energy that you are carrying. Aquarius energy is very progressive, and that's the energy you are tapped into for your life's purpose. So stay in touch with spirit, stay in contact with spirit, create from your heart, your mind, your soul, and put it out there, and then move forward. Do not get caught up in the comment section or the conversations, none of that, okay? Leave it alone, because that will hinder you. You've got to do what you were meant to do in a very natural, organic way. And yeah, you definitely don't want to get to a place where you feel like you're being false or fake with what you're doing for the sake of trying to make everyone happy. That's not what you were meant to do, okay? Let's look at the Bible verses. Here's the front of the first one. It says, faith doesn't always mean that God changes your situation. Sometimes it means that he changes you. On the back, we have a Bible verse from Galatians 2:20. It says, I have been crucified with Christ. It is no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me. And the life I now live in the flesh, I live by faith in the Son of God who loved me and gave himself for me. So I want to talk about the front of this card first, where God doesn't change the situation. Sometimes it's not about that. It's about changing you. And that applies so well to what you all are doing, because the situation you came here kind of upset about are these people who look down on you or think negatively about how you're living your life or what you're doing. You're receiving a lot of judgment. And God's letting you know, like, look, I'm not going to fix that. People can think what they want to think about you, and I'm not going to do anything about that. What I am going to do, if you stay true to your purpose, is I'm going to change you. I'm going to evolve you. You're going to gain more wisdom. You're going to gain more inner fulfillment. You're going to gain more of a divine connection with me. And that's what matters, okay? And then on the back of it, it's talking about how when we are tapped into our spiritual purpose and we're tapped into God, we no longer become so emotionally attached to what we are doing, okay? Because we recognize that it's not really coming from us. It's coming from a divine energy that's working through us, and we're allowing it to work through us. Therefore, what we produce, what we create, when people don't resonate with it or give us the feedback that we want, well, they're not really giving negative feedback to us. This was something that we allowed God to create through us. They're giving negative feedback to God. And okay, clearly they're in the wrong about that. Like being able to have that Aquarius energy of being detached from the reactions of others, standing strong in your own truth, knowing that what you're doing is connected to Jesus, to God, to spirit, and yeah, just living your life in service of that with that spiritual purpose. Okay, the second Bible verse we have, here's the imagery. It's Romans 8:28. It says, and we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. Beautiful. Yeah. You may always have the haters, is what Jesus is saying. You may always have them, just like he still has them to this day. But if you're standing strong in your purpose, if you're working for God, if you are living a life that's devoted to spirit, to the divine, towards truth and love, the essence of love, you will have a good life. You'll have an amazing life, and those haters aren't going to bother you, because you're going to know so strongly that what you're doing is right, it's true, it's of love, that you're not going to care about what uninformed people have to say or think. You really aren't going to care. And you all, those of you who chose this pile, you have a profound spiritual purpose in this life, and it's about getting more confident in that belief. I feel like you're partially there, but sometimes when people say or do or react certain ways, it shakes you up. It makes you question. Imagine where we would be if Jesus did that. Boy, did he have a lot of haters. He knew what he was doing was from God, from the divine, from the essence of love. So he didn't let it shake him. And he wants you to do that same exact thing, because you're creating something big. Your life is going to have a ripple effect for generations to come, okay? And 60, 70 years from now, what people thought of as, ooh, your progressive, crazy ideology, is going to be the most normal thing, the most normal, regular thing. And people are going to look back and think, dang, I wish we would have gotten to this state of mind sooner. You know, look at all these mistakes from our past when we weren't as a society thinking as progressively. But you're going to be able to be one of those people that's like, I was there. I was doing the right thing 70 years ago. Okay, so it's almost like you're from the future. Like I normally talk in readings about, oh, in your previous incarnation, it was 100 years ago, or it was 500 years ago. I don't know if this is possible. I've never had it come up in a reading before, but it feels like you guys are from the future, where you've had future incarnations and you've come back in time and been planted here to help progress society. That sounds crazy. I've never heard of that before, but that's what I'm hearing now in this reading. So you are going to feel like you are living in an old-fashioned sort of society in a way, okay? Because your mind, your heart, your soul is from the future. It's from a much more progressive place. Okay, let's look at the Miracles Now card, our last one. Here's the back. It says there is always a solution of the highest good. So this kind of goes with that essence of love card. With this enemy, with this negative force, this negative cycle you are dealing with, you have the solutions for it. They're in your own wheelhouse, your own little toolbox. And it's all about grabbing the tools, grabbing the solutions that represent love in its highest forms. Intelligence, of course, but also love for yourself as well as for others. What's the most loving and peaceful way out of this situation? How can I stand strong in what I believe in, not be swayed on my opinion or my convictions, but respond with love about it, having that cool, calm demeanor and confidence about it. And also recognizing when something doesn't need a response. Working on, there's always a solution of the highest good, and that's what Jesus wants you to keep in mind as you navigate through this enemy, through this negative force. The less attention that you give it, the less and less that you try to adapt and appease and make everyone and everything happy, the more energy you're giving to that negative force, and the more it's going to grow. It's going to recognize, oh, I can feed off of this. Every time I react, they respond, and that creates a cycle, an energetic cycle where you're now feeding into this negative force. It's about no longer lowering yourself, no longer lowering the bar, no longer feeding into that energy, and finding the solution that is of the highest good, because there's always a solution of the highest good, just like this card is saying. So this is such an exciting pile to read, because I feel like I'm working with people who are, I don't know, maybe you guys do some of the same work that I do, tarot readings or astrology, I don't know, but you guys feel like exciting, progressive, dynamic people that I would love to connect with. So feel free to comment below. If you've got a blog or some sort of social media page, I would love to follow you. A YouTube channel, for example, I would totally subscribe. But keep up the good work, okay? Stand strong in your faith and in your truth, and you can't go wrong. So I love you so much, and I will see you in the next reading. Bye.